Hello, I'm Jim. I am with Functionised Integrative Therapeutics. I enjoy the position here of Chief of Human Performance. We've been around now for coming up on 2 years, and I'm very, very proud and happy to bring to you this presentation here as we are on the forefront of health, fitness, wellness, nutrition, everything that goes into you being a better version of yourself. Today's topic is on stress eating. Now, when we are stressed, we all deal with it differently. Some of us exercise, sometimes to abundance, which is not healthy. Sometimes we get into different illegal vices, again not healthy. Some of us eat, and eat way too much. It's called stress eating. And it is very, very normal, even though it is not necessarily healthy. You can typically tell if you are overweight. There's different reasons why that may happen, and stress is one of those reasons. Before I truly get going, I want to encourage you, if you have any questions whatsoever, email us at support@functionised.com. That's support, FUNCTIONISED.com. Chances are you're already watching this on one of our social media outlets. The other ones are always at Functionised, at FUNCTIONISED, Facebook, Instagram, website functionized.com, and our podcast is the Functionized Podcast, available on every single podcast device, from Android, Google Podcast, iTunes Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We've been doing that for over 2 years now, and it keeps getting better and better and better, and we bring you some amazing new information each and every week. So definitely check that out and enjoy it. So what exactly is stress eating? While we're somewhat understanding of the idea of having that guilt in our head that accompanies excessive or an indulgent meal, having a Thanksgiving meal every single night, we start to get that idea in our head that something is just not right. We start to feel guilty about ourselves. Stress eating really is emotional eating. It's compensating. It is an alternative to actually dealing what you really should be dealing with. So 27% of adults actually admit to turning to food to deal with their stress, while 34% of these individuals admit to it being an actual habit. So why do we do it? Why do we actually do it in the first place? So while it's easy to blame the variety of other factors in life, the food in of itself, or the party who provided it, the place which we consumed it, etc., is the real underlying issue. It lies in the awareness, our bodies, emotions, and the ability to deal with it. The majority of the time, stress eating is done at times when the body doesn't tend to even need food, and the messages of the mind and body get confused to being what hunger then actually is. It's not the eating that we don't want, it is the release of the emotion that would truly be satisfying, and oftentimes it's the food that gets confused as a result. Harvard Health found that individuals overeat. The reasons that they overeat is that it is all about the emotion. Emotion, 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 and that's where the excess indulgence of food occurs. I'm going to put up an article online that actually can show you how to prevent your hunger cues. The hypothalamus in the brain actually produces hormones which suppress the appetite initially. These hormones, ghrelin is the hormone that makes you want to eat. Just think of gremlin. Now, the other one, leptin, actually shuts down and suppresses the ghrelin, and it is when we don't produce the leptin or enough amounts of leptin that we are going to eat and eat and eat. Instead of the leptin kicking in, the opposite ensues when we are stressed and we're not dealing with it properly. Ghrelin levels are led to rise. Our minds need a little bit more hormones to make us feel good. So what do? We create the habit of running and picking up food, and it's typically the food that makes us want to feel better. The foods that have sugar, trans fat laden, processed laden foods that cause that dopamine release in our minds that makes us feel good. And doing this again and again and again, that is going to create long-lasting habits, and unfortunately these are unhealthy habits. When most people fall down in life, their eating habits are going to fluctuate. It's going to go from non-existent stress to mild stress to excessive stress, and we're going to have the ebbs and flows of eating that goes along with it as well. And many of the other different talks that I have done and podcasts put out between myself, Shantae, is that we need to be very consistent the way we eat. And our bodies actually do very well with consistency. The more consistent we are with our food, it's shown that we carry around less body fat as a whole. Cortisol, which is the hormone of fight or flight, this here is paramount for holding on to fat. And as we stress, these cortisol levels rise up. Cortisol, I can't say it enough. Cortisol. When cortisol levels are high, our bodies are going to retain. Stress equals cortisol, cortisol equals stress. I only am emphatic about this because as much as I say this, individuals often just kind of let it go over their head. They're not thinking about it. So when you experience times of extreme hunger, intense stress, the triggers from cortisol are the exact same. High stress, high cortisol. High hunger, high cortisol, because cortisol is going to help your body go into a state which is called gluconeogenesis, which helps your body survive anyway. When we have a release of our own neurotransmitters in our brain, the hunger cravings can be satisfied in a balanced way, leading to increased correlations, associations between food and feelings. Now it's about recognizing these feelings and thought patterns and forming a surrounding viewpoint around our food, our feelings, emotions, being able to understand, does our body actually need the food? What am I actually feeling? And being very mindful and bringing those two aspects together. Having introspection is extremely vital in order to understand your own eating habits in the first place. Why do we eat? Why are we doing what we're doing at that time? I hope some of this here is making sense. Many of the things that I'm saying, I say over and over and over again, and I'm hoping that today that it resonates with you just a little bit. And just a little bit's all that it needs to hopefully grow. And once you start to understand these ideas and concepts, you can become a better version of yourself, which is the goal in the first place, isn't it? So, emotional transparency is the next topic I kind of want to talk about here. It's really getting to know your stressors. This is not going to be an easy experience, I got to tell you. To look into yourself and understand what is making me uncomfortable. What are the stressing factors in my life? Not only saying, all right, it's my mom, it's my dad, it's my brother, it's my sister, it's the teacher, it's me, I don't know what it is. But then understanding what about them, what about a situation is truly making you feel uncomfortable. What is that emotion that you're feeling? What's it doing to your brain? What's it doing to your body? Are your shoulders rising up? Are you getting stomach pains from it? Are you getting headaches as a result of it? It's very difficult to look into yourself, and this actually is something that needs to actually be done in this case here. Once you've actually identified the root causes, you can start to get into work a couple steps to minimize the risks that are going to occur if these things happen again. For instance, you know that a parent yells, and when they yell, that shriek causes a rush because it reminds you of something from back in the day that scared you greatly. Now, once you understand this, and you understand those feelings that come over you, and that you're running and rushing for that Twinkie or that cookie, we can now interrupt this habit and replace that with perhaps something healthier. Calming down about your stressor and having a healthier end result as opposed to that cake, pie, cookie, an abundance of pasta, whatever it may be that you really, really like or reach to at these times for comfort. Also, carry food with you so you don't actually feel deprived. If you are going hours and hours and hours and you're not used to doing any type of fast, then if you already have food with you that you know is healthy for you and you know is the type of food that you're supposed to be eating, it shouldn't be a problem for you whatsoever. Because now, instead of going to a convenience store to reach for junk food or waiting till far later or being at work and see it in the break room, you'll be able to have something healthy for you and a much better choice for you at the time. It's all about being mindful with your eating. It's easy to recommend to enter into a stress eating relationship. However, you can also start to attend a yoga class. You can start meditating. You can start working with Shantae in the Fit Lab and utilizing audiovisual entrainment. A lot of mindfulness techniques. At our Healthy Happy Hour, we go over techniques each and every week and put it on the private Facebook group, which feel free to join at any time. Come into the Fit Lab, hang out with us here. I mean, it's a warm team environment, and if you're watching this from somewhere across the world, find yourself that warm team environment, or move on over here and become part of our warm team environment. There are healthier choices to be able to make. Mindful eating is a kind of a term that a lot of experts throw out, described for those that struggle with their emotional eating, so they can remain present and aware in the current situation, and also through the entire duration of a meal. In a previous webinar that it was myself or that Shantae has done, we talk about enjoying the food, actually smelling the food, feeling the food, the texture of the food. Every food has a texture, the taste, even the sound of the food. An apple, for instance, makes that crunch when you bite into it. Becoming mindful about what you're eating becomes a experience as opposed to just shoving something down in your mouth as a result of a reason. This is also part of reprogramming your mind in what to do, in becoming healthier for yourself. Even after the meal, savor the meal, push the plate away from you, make sure you have a half-size plate instead of a full plate, and these are all ways to be eating less when you're going through your mindfulness and your steps of mindfulness throughout the entire time, and disassociating food with having to be the result of an emotion. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, rewind to the last 10 seconds and watch that once more time. But let's talk about mental health and your gut health. It's very rare to hear those complain of mental health difficulties mentioning diet and difficult relationship and food and stress eating as part of the symptoms of the illness they experience. There's a lot of studies that actually show overwhelming amounts of our positive hormones and enzymes secreted in the gut, and it means that these ensure that the proper digestion occurs. You're getting the nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the amino acids that you need to survive each and every day. Not just survive, but perform your activities of daily living on a very high level. Having your hormones in flux is extremely important to ensure you live at a very high level. Those that are on a very low-fat diet, for instance, their hormones, because they're not able to produce the hormones in the first place, because fat is an essential block into producing hormones. If you're not producing the right hormones, they don't even realize all these changes that are going on in their life for the negative, even if it's just mood, sleep, thought patterns. They're not happening properly as a result of these improper lifestyle choices. For stress eaters, one interesting place to start considering is bad habits. What bad habits do you have? You probably know them. I said bad habits, and you probably had 3 or 4 that went through your mind, from biting your nails, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, watching too much television, being on your phone too much. If your neck's starting to hurt, you're starting to go like this, chances are you're on your phone too much. These are just realities of life in the society that we live in here. The emotions causing your stress might actually become regulated with mindfulness, with better habits, with certain control factors that you start to put in place for your life. If the emotions aren't so strong and extreme, chances are the period of stress eating won't be either. Your gut bacteria, your gut is actually a third brain. Bacteria in your gut and the rest of the body is actually talking to each other all the way up to the brain and back. So what you're putting in your gut is talking to your brain and telling it what to do. And if you're putting junk in there, dysregulating the microbiota, then your brain is going to be making choices, inappropriate choices. Over time, your brain is going to be rewired to making these choices all the time, all because you're allowing your stress to make you eat the wrong things and an abundance of the wrong things to dysregulate the gut. And now your choices in life are unfortunately not the choices that the real you would actually make. An idea that you could actually put down is a food diary. Food diaries are a wonderful tool to be able to utilize in order to understand what you're eating. And you can actually compare food diaries to the times that you're feeling stressed. If you notice that you're eating pizza and ice cream every single Friday night, and that Friday night is when your significant other may be working late, you know that you may have issues of separation from your loved one, something to be able to work on. You may be able to change that over time, and that's the goal. I know a lot of individuals don't like doing food diaries. They require that whole 5-10 seconds of actually work. Open it up, write it down. It is an invaluable tool, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it if you are struggling with weight issues at any time to write it down. And then, of course, bring it to us. We can definitely help you work on that in a variety of ways. Another topic I'd like to discuss with you is food prepping. Now, food prepping takes a little bit of work, but it can be a lot of fun. You take a day, Saturday or Sunday, and you make your meals ahead of time for the day. What a wonderful way to spend time with loved ones, turn off the TV, or have football games on, since the time I'm actually recording this is in the fall. You know, some football on the background. You can try new things in the kitchen. It's going to be a fun experience. You got to make the time to do it, and when you make that time to do it, it's another invaluable tool. Now you get your food set out for the week, and now you can bring some food with you for the week. So you're not going to that local convenience store, the break room, somebody else's house that doesn't have the foods that you want. You know what you're putting into your body each and every time. And hopefully, if you've already had your lab work done, remember, if you ain't testing, you're guessing, and always test for success, you'll know exactly what you're eating, what you're putting in your body, and keeping your body in a very low inflammatory state, a very anti-inflammatory state, because you're eating anti-inflammatory foods that are right for you. And when you're reaching for that food, you know it's a good food. It helps, and it kind of cuts that unhealthy cycle, right, nips it in the bud. Doing lifestyle analysis. This is another invaluable tool. Sometimes it can be very difficult, like before, when you're actually understanding what your emotional base core struggles are. But if you feel you've been measuring, analyzing, and actually attempting to change your eating habits to no avail, and I get it, it happens to so many, then it might be that you're not simply taking anything in your life into account as you attempt to change what you eat. A stress eating is an emotionally charged habit. Simply changing what you might not get could be the bottom issue. If you are changing what you're eating, that's great, but you still may have those issues. So this is where that yo-yo effect actually starts to take place. You eat good for a little while, and then you go back. Why is that? Because the emotional component of it has never actually been understood and rectified in the first place. Now, this also includes your physical and mental activity. To successfully reassess our eating patterns, you have to reassess every aspect of your lifestyle. Think about when you get up, what do you do? When you go out for the first time of the day, what do you do? When you come back, what do you do? It's really taking your life, breaking it down, and reforming a blueprint that is easily attainable for yourself. It may take a little work, but it is attainable if you truly actually want to do that. Now, eating disorders. This is massive. Unfortunately, a lot of individuals do have eating disorders. Anorexia, bulimia. We have an upcoming podcast with an individual who's going to be talking about eating disorders as well. And I definitely encourage you to check that out over the next month. Eating disorders on the Functionised podcast, which will go far more into depth than I'm going to go into here. But I still want to go over with you a kind of overview. And just because you may not have been diagnosed with an eating disorder doesn't mean that some form of it may not actually still exist. See, stress is not exactly recognized as an eating disorder, but it can become a significant contributing factor to the symptoms of almost all eating disorders. EDNOS. What does it stand for? EDNOS stands for eating disorder not otherwise specified. It's a little coding fun thing, because coding is so much fun, right? And it's a term that's used to denote the varying intensities and scopes of those suffering from healthy eating habits. And they don't exactly quite meet the criteria for either anorexia nervosa or a binge eating disorder. The ironic thing is that an eating disorder and a pattern of it can cause stress and anxiety levels to actually rise and come up, becoming even more significant of a contributing factor to any eating issues with food. For example, if becoming stressed in a situation surrounding food causes you to lose control, then your eating is going to go a downward spiral and you're going to have negative food associations. The stress eating can be seen as a trigger for worsening eating habits and actually spiraling negative thoughts of your own self-worth. It's a precariously blurred line that exists between the labels of stress eating and eating disorder. So it's advisable to actually seek a psychologist or a psychiatrist to overcome these factors here. Body image. Let's face it, we all have a body image problem. I say this, I've worked with many bodybuilders who have 3% body fat. They are picture perfect. They get up on stage, but you know what? It's still not good enough. Individuals that are 300 pounds may not admit it, but they have body image problems. They want to look like their friend who might be smaller, and their friend who may be smaller wants to look like somebody else. Everybody wants to be looking like somebody else, and you know what? That's a search for perfection, and perfectionists, unfortunately, do not succeed to the magnitude that they can actually succeed. Understanding what is good enough. What is good enough? Do you fit in your clothes the way you want to fit in? Are you the size that you want to fit in? Yes or no? Do you? Great. Be good enough for yourself. Having the idea of a perfect body, unfortunately, is not realistic. In myself, I will admit, I don't think I have a perfect body. I find so many flaws to myself, but you know what? I gotta let it go, because I'm gonna drive myself crazy, and I'm gonna drive my wonderful wife absolutely insane, because, well, she didn't call me names if I say anything more about body image problems. Just leave it at that. Smile. Appreciate who you are. You are beautiful. You really are. You are handsome. You really are. Be good enough. Know that you're putting in 100% effort, and at the end of the day, like any, we'll call it football player, if you lie on the field victorious and you know you put in 100% effort, amazing, it's a win-win. If you have lost by a field goal as time ran out, but you knew you put 100% effort into each and every single play and did all you could, then you know what? It may sting a little bit. Keep your head up high. If you ended up winning that game and you know you just half-assed it and didn't do as good as you could, that's a problem too. Give 100% effort no matter what you do. So no matter where you are, how you look, what your body looks like, there's no need to guilt yourself. There's no need to have that extra added stress to yourself. You're doing everything that you can for yourself. Hold your head up high, because I certainly would be very proud of you as well. Exercise. Most people don't exercise. They know it's a great idea. When you're smaller, you run around. It's called exercise. You're on the playground, you're running, you're jumping, you're playing, you're skinning yourself. When you get older, they call it going to the gym. And when you have time, working at the gym or doing a retail job or whatever it may be. There's so much more time. As you get into your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you have family, that pulls that time away. You have a career, that pulls time away. You may own your own business, that pulls that time away. So you went from being an All-American to rotund, unfortunately. But you know what? Your bank account's growing and you're happy, right? But so many people with very high bank accounts are not happy. And why is that? Because they have body image problems because they know they're not putting in any effort whatsoever. This is why I actually developed the Fit Lab. And that is the whole concept behind it, because you got no excuse at that point to not exercise. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes once a week for strength training, 8 minutes and 40 seconds doing high intensity intervals. That's it. You're done. You can look amazing and get your exercise in. You don't have to be in the gym. You don't have to be in the gym 2 hours every single day. You don't. But you do need a program. You do need a routine. Our bodies are meant to move, not sit. So many health problems are going to occur as a result of that. You can prevent that. And options such as the Fit Lab are designed for you. And if you'd like to come experience the Fit Lab, it's on me. Come on in. I'll be more than happy to show you around, put you through everything, explain everything to you in detail, how it works. Check out our website even at functionized.com/fit-lab.html, or in the search button, just hit Fit Lab. Or at the top, services, drop down Fit Lab. It's there. Type in Fit Lab into Google. I digress. I'm going on Fit Lab. It works, and exercise is a very big part of this. And when you have a lot of stress in your life, exercise helps lower that stress. Those nervous energies, it becomes extremely cathartic as well, and it's something that should be done daily. It doesn't have to be some crazy CrossFit workout. It does not have to be training for a triathlon. It just needs to be the minimum amount to be maximally effective. That's what we've mastered here. And that's something I would actually like to show you, because both mentally and physically, you will be a better version of yourself. And eating the wrong foods is going to become less and less likely if you're doing this the right way. In the media, we hear so many things being bombarded at us every single day. This person died, war over here, something other horrible over there, here's misinformation over there. Gets us thinking so much. I mean, how many things even on Netflix am I seeing that are just so wrong? And it's putting stress. Well, I thought someone said this. I thought it was supposed to be that. The stress levels, I'm getting stressed. I'm getting agitated just hearing about this right now and talking about this. Woo. Oh my goodness. Somebody calm me down. Somebody calm me down. I'm going to have to eat something, right? Wrong. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to go through some breathing patterns, breathing cycles, some of the things I learned from our peak performance coach, Shante. I'm going to get into some rhythmic breathing. I put on the pulse electromagnetic frequency, even some healthier things. And you know what? The idea of jamming junk food down my throat doesn't become so appealing anymore. Turn off the TV. Stop watching the news. If you want to know real answers, I'm serious, and I'm not just saying listen to me. I'm going to give you the right answers. I'll look up the answers if I don't know them for you. Our podcast has a lot of the answers. Our website has a lot of the answers. Even better, in person, we have the answers. So instead of saying something that a magazine wrote, find the real and right sources so you're not being questioning one way or the other and adding the stress and wanting to eat the wrong foods, even though the magazine said to eat this other type of food. Let's see what's right for you. Seriously, I gotta breathe. Let's talk about breathing. No, seriously, let's talk about triggers. What triggers are in your life? And this is part of taking that self-analysis, that self-evaluation. It's very difficult to understand those triggers, but when you get to the core of your stress and what's really bothering you, that is truly what is going to help get over that hump. Reprogramming your brain in the right way so you're not reaching for the junk, reaching for the breads, reaching for the pastas, reaching for the sugar, the trans fat, anything processed. Getting a better mind is getting a better body, and getting a better body is getting a better mind, and your other brain in your gut is going to be working far better and more efficient. You'll be a better version of yourself. It really is. And it's tough, it stings, but by understanding these, I can't express enough how much better you are actually going to be. You do you. And I mean this very passionately. Do you. We are so obsessed with what can I do for others. I'm a parent personally, and I want to do everything for my kids. I want to do everything for my wife. I want to do everything for the patients and clients at Functionised. And at the end of the day, I've even found myself, knowing you do you, to be extremely dehydrated, dizzy, headaches, agitated, hangry, cubed, and just very miserable and unhappy. And you do this enough, and that reprograms who you are. If you're not the best version of yourself, then you're not the best version for your kids, your job, your mom, your dad, your spouse, your significant other. Be the best version of you. Do you want to give them less than the best? If you think about it, if we all want to give our kids the best, if we want to give our spouses, significant others, the absolute best, then why aren't you? Because you're taking care of them 24/7, 365, and all their needs. That's why. It sounds kind of backwards, but it's not. If you are the best version of you, then they get the best. So be that best version of you, so they can get the best. Otherwise, you're half-assing. You're only giving them partial. And what's the point of giving them partial of the absolute best? We are done today, but you are just getting started. You have barely scratched the surface, and I say, let's get past the scratch. Let's go to the next step. Let's go to the next level. Now it's up to you. We're here for you. I personally hope that you've gotten a lot out of this discussion. And again, I invite you to Healthy Happy Hour every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., where we discuss things like this. We get over this so when we go out into the world, we're better versions of ourselves. We are competing at a far higher level because life is a competition. We're doing better in the boardroom. We're doing better at our office. We're doing better with the family, at our desk, on the football field, on the baseball field. You get the point. Everything in your activities of daily living is better when we leave, no matter what our goals are. Be the best version of yourself possible. Wake up tomorrow morning a better version than when you went to bed, and go to bed tonight a better version of when you got up this morning. And that is truly living Functionized. From the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of everyone here at Functionized, I thank you. Thank you for being with us today, and I'll see you real soon.